Okay, here we go. Hello, hello. Hi for the Sunday Live for this week. Let's see. Today is December the 15th. Yes. It's December the 15th. I am Jenny Adi, and this is Living Like a Locals channel. And this is my Sunday Live. And I'm getting on here, going to answer any questions anyone has about El Salvador. And we're going to talk today all about December and the festivities and what December in El Salvador is like, because it's every country is different, and the traditions you have at home could be completely different from traditions in other countries. And so we're going to talk about that today, about what December's like down in El Salvador. So if you have not already, um, you can subscribe to the channel if you are thinking about coming down to El Salvador, or you just love El Salvador, if you've always wondered what it's like to be in El Salvador. Yeah, follow us, because that's what this is all about. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty. Okay, so I do have, if you want a more extensive if you want a more extensive version of what this live is going to be about, check further down in my playlist. I have a video that I made with Vic Alfred, which is a Ukrainian Salvadoran couple in El Salvador that have their own YouTube channel. And we talked all about the difference between the customs of Ukraine, what Christmas is like, versus the US, what Christmas is like, versus El Salvador, what Christmas is like. So are there fireworks? Asked Karen. Hi, Karen. Oh my goodness. There are so many fireworks. It's like in the US, like we have 4th of July, level, what you'd consider 4th of July level fireworks. They do that in El Salvador, but like the whole month. There's fireworks, and the thing is, they don't have the same bans and the same laws and regulations when it comes to what you can explode. Because here in the US we're super safety conscious, and we make it like enforceable, and we regulate everything. This explosive is too dangerous, and this and this. Yeah, no, that's not a thing down here. They have like super loud ones, and ones that go off, in my opinion, way too early and have really short fuses. And so anyway, they go crazy with the fireworks, and you can hear them almost all night. 2 a.m. in the morning, all of a sudden a big boom, boom. Maybe not necessarily the light ones, but especially the sound ones. They love the sound ones, which reminds me, if you are a noise sensitive person, don't travel to El Salvador in December, because you can hear fireworks all night, any time of the day. Just that's how Latinos celebrate. And I don't think that's an El Salvador thing. I think that's more of a Latin America thing, because I lived in Chile before, and it's the same thing. So let's first talk about like some of the differences in cultures. Like in American culture, you could say we like to do kind of, the big focus is kind of on Jesus and giving and things like that. So like I know a lot of families, they do Elf on a Shelf, and they'll do big Santa traditions, and they'll sit there and they'll do like countdown for 12 days of Christmas, and maybe I've done this a bunch of times with my kids, where we picked a family that was kind of going through a hard time, and then we'd go and we'd get a present for that family, and we'd knock and run the present for that family for the 12 days before Christmas. And we usually read a Christmas story every night. You watch lots of Christmas movies. It's kind of like the American way. Well, the Latino way, and especially what I'm going to share is the Salvadoran way, is you dance. You dance a lot. Like December is the cumbia month. And you're kind of wondering, like, well, how can they do that? They have to go to work and things like that? Not so much. You know how December is like the least productive month of any company, probably anywhere, especially in El Salvador. Do not I was trying to hire a new assistant, another member of our team. Yeah, that was really stupid of me to try and hire somebody in December because everybody already has their plans up. Everybody's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to this fiesta and then I have this fiesta." And it works too that in El Salvador, the kids are out of school. They get out of school November all the way until about the end of January. So really December is just it's a vacation month, honestly. Salvadoreños love they high priority on their vacations and high priority on their family time. And so yeah, nobody messes with December. Those are the first two things. There will be parties. They will last a long, long time. There's no like end time for any party. I've never seen that. There's usually a beginning time, but then nobody gets there until like 30 minutes after. But about an hour after the beginning time, the party's going. Party's rocking. And in all the big Salvadoreño parties that I've been to, there is always dancing. There is always karaoke. If you are super shy and it's like, no, honey, you gotta let that go because in El Salvador, everybody dances. The 5-year-olds, the grandmas, everybody dances. It doesn't matter. Nobody's sitting on the side like judging you. I'm like, look, man, that he ain't got no moves. No, no, nobody does anybody because they're too busy having fun. Because that is the party vibe in El Salvador. There's no judgment or casting shade. Um, so everybody dances one, two, everybody gets up and karaoke. And you can say, like, but I'm terrible. I can't karaoke, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? It does not matter. They're so awesome, supportive. Everybody can do the YMCA. Everybody can do the, I Will Survive something that you jammed out to when you were, a teenager or when you were, young, your go-to karaoke song, something like that. Get up there and do your best. No one's going to boo you. No one is going to sit there and be like, "Ah, get off the stage." No, you can be terrible. And Salvadoreños will be like, way to go! You got so much guts. That was awesome. You're so brave. It's not about the performance. It is more about the intention, the trying, like that whole what do they call it? The growth mindset. Growth mindset is big in El Salvador. So you go up there, you karaoke, you butcher the song. It doesn't matter. You're still going to get a standing ovation. Let's see what else. They also sometimes will have like, games, but I think that's typical of, yeah, US anywhere. They'll have games and they always have a lot of food. Um, a ton of food. And it's something particular to Christmas, something that's different. Hola, Carlos. Um, so something that's different in El Salvador as opposed to well, all I can compare it to is the States. And that is, usually we'll do right before Christmas at Christmas Eve, we typically let the kids like open up maybe one present and then they will set out milk and cookies for Santa. And sometimes we do, well, at least in my family, we do a little a telling of the story of Christmas. And if you have little kids, you have them acted out with like a baby doll and you read the Christmas story from Luke and the kids kind of act it out, and come to Bethlehem, put the baby doll in a little manger, right? And we do that. That was a tradition Christmas Eve. So you act out the real Christmas, put out cookies and milk, and then the kids have to get to bed early. So, they won't. So they'll get to bed so that Santa can come and dump all these presents, right? Well, yeah, that is not a thing in El Salvador. None of that. I mean, some families may reenact the Christmas story, but no, Christmas Eve is a party, and it starts off with like some family and friends coming over about 10ish, 11ish. You start eating. There's always pan con pollo. Pan con pollo it's this kind of special chicken sandwich that they do, but it's not like fried chicken. It's more like like a it's like a rotisserie kind of chicken. It's chicken that's like already cooked. It's not but it's not fried chicken. It's not fried chicken. It's pan con pollo. And they have this sauce that they put on it that kind of makes it really wet. So pan con pollo is what you eat at Christmas time in El Salvador. Let's see. Is turkey the traditional meal? They do some people no, they don't do turkey. They do I mean, some people do eat like, pavo sandwiches, but it's usually pan con pollo. It's chicken. So they have these special chicken sandwiches that they eat at Christmas time. And yeah, it's not it's just lots and lots of food. Yeah, it's so much food. So anyway, so you start off with like your family comes over, right? And then around like 12ish, 11ish, all like the neighbors and all the people from like, the block. The block party kind of begins where everybody else comes in at about 11. And then about 1 o'clock, people have gotten tipsy enough that maybe a little bit of drama starts breaking out, and people need to kind of be like settled down a little bit because by then people have been drinking enough that maybe some not so wise choices are made. um and then um and then what happens is, then the party will kind of slowly start to kind of weave down and get calmer and calmer. Um, but at 12 o'clock, it's an explosion. So when Santa is arriving at the chimneys of the US and sneaking up in the quiet and putting his presents down there, yeah, Santa does not cover Latino countries, like, I think at least until 3 a.m. because he might get shot down by a firework. Um, because yeah, 12 o'clock, it's explosion. And in fact, last year I went to this one Christmas party and I was up in La Montaña. If you know San Salvador, there's a residential neighborhood that's up on the side of Bocoron called La Montaña. So we went there and and since it's kind of up high, we're right above the city, looking out over Meliot and Santa Tecla, and and we had a ton of fireworks. Oh my goodness, so many fireworks! Everybody's letting off fireworks, and sometimes they'll like hold them in their hand and let them off, and they're super loud. And yeah, do not take your kids unless they have earmuffs. Save the hearing. Um, but either way, they when it was midnight, we went outside and we're letting off all these fireworks, but there were so many fireworks going off. It was like bright as day, and all you saw was this big, massive, like layer of smoke. And if you're in LA, if you've ever been to LA, you've ever seen like the LA smog when it's like really thick and just gray, or like in Utah has really bad inversion where it's just you just see this layer, right? That was El Salvador about 12 o'clock because it was bright as day, but you could just see this big, massive smoke cloud over San Salvador, and yet you could see the lights underneath, but you could see everything in the air because everything was lit up. Was lit up. Ain't that nice? Was lighted up. Let's see what else. Hello there. I watch your videos and I like them very much. You live in the city. I was born in Santa Tecla. I love Santa Tecla. I used to live in Santa Tecla. I don't live in Santa Tecla anymore. I had to move further into the city. So now I live in San Sal. That's my way of saying San Salvador. Let's see. Saying hello from Las Vegas. Okay, so you get me in Las Vegas. Okay, next little thing that they've just started ever since El Salvador has gotten safe. This is a new thing that's really big. And even last night, we, my husband had some of our clients because we help foreigners come down and check out and move to El Salvador if they're interested in being part of this amazing transformation. And so he had two clients down in the centro in Central. And so they have all these light displays up all over the place. And they have this big like Santa house. They have an ice skating rink in Latin America, and it's outdoors. So they have an ice skating rink on the one side of the Centro Histórico. They have this massive, massive, big lit Christmas tree that's even taller than the cathedral, which is really tall. And they just have light displays everywhere, and it's really gorgeous. Think like to something to compare it to in Las Vegas. If you're from Vegas, if you've gone to, they have this big light display Wonderland, okay, by this mall complex that I've seen. I think it's in Summerlin in Vegas. And I went there and it was like $15. You had to pay $15 to get in. Well, these you don't have to pay it. You don't have to pay to get in. But like the Centro now is having this big light display. Santa Tecla, where I used to be at, they have they're doing this thing. They've done it. I think this is the third year Santa Tecla has done it in Cafetelon. Cafetelon is like a big sports complex, but it has a track and it has all these soccer fields and everything like that. So in Santa Tecla, they have turned Cafetelon into a Christmas spectacle where they have rides, like carnival kind of rides. They have carnival rides. They have tons of food trucks. They have lots of light displays. They even have a stage where they have acts that can go up. And I think their opening night, they had a band out there, and the band was so the band was out there and played on their opening night. So if you think US wise, if you think like say maybe like in New York, you know where New York, if you've ever been to New York, where they have the big Christmas tree and they have the ice rink outside and they have all the lights everywhere. Well, again, you have to pay for that. You do have to pay for the ice skating, but I think it's only like $3 to pay for the skating, and then you have to rent the skates. But I think that's like maybe another $3. Don't quote me on those prices, but it's pretty cheap. But either way, but you can walk in there and you can walk all around. And if you haven't seen it yet, just you can go to Nayib Bukele or the government of El Salvador and see some of the video footage of when they launched and opened it up. I mean, massive firework display, like New Year's Eve level firework display when they opened it up. And they had even some big drone, what is it called? Like, with the drones, like kind of act and dance up in the air and they spell and they make different designs and things like that. So they had a drone show, and yeah, it was wow. It's like on that level, like New York Times Square level, or what you'd see Temple Square in Salt Lake City. If you've ever been through Salt Lake City Temple Square, they have lights, massive, massive light display. Everything, every flower, every tree is just super decked out in lights. Like that kind of level is what they're doing in different municipalities. So as I said, I've been to the Santa Tecla one, and then the Centro Histórico. Just last night, my husband said, and he live streamed to me, because I'm obviously not down in El Salvador right now, but he live streamed to me and he showed me, he's just like, check this out. It was wall to wall packed. They said something like 25,000 people were down there this weekend. Yeah, it was super full. But with all the new freedom, with all the new developments and security, oh, Salvadoreños are celebrating and they are getting out there, and everything is on the up and up. Everybody's creating, trying new things, trying new dreams. Everyone's getting out, going and exploring and enjoying the country, which is such a massive change from before, when they didn't even know other parts of their own country, even towns, 15 minutes away. You didn't dare explore it because you didn't know who was there and if it was safe. So now Salvadoreños everybody's getting out, everybody's exploring. And they're celebrating it to the 10th degree. That's for sure. Let's see. Hi, Sal. Thanks for the info. New subbed here. You're originally from San Miguel. Oh, cool. Now I know San Miguel is doing. They just had their carnival. That's another thing in December. In December, they have the carnival in San Miguel. And it's like a week long, and it's got lots of carnival rides. And similarly, it's like a carnival that you'd see almost. Well, you don't really see very many carnivals anymore in the U.S. Sometimes they'll come and they'll put themselves in like an abandoned shopping center parking lot, right? So San Miguel Carnival is kind of like that. They have a whole lot of carnival rides, Ferris wheels, things like that, and lots of food. And it's all Salvadoran food. They're not going to have funnel cakes. No, they're going to have minutas. They're going to have papas locas. They're going to have crazy corn or elotes locas. But yeah, so that goes for like a whole week in San Miguel. And that is a big, massive party too. So let's keep going. Let's see. Who else? How long have you been in El Salvador? Do you think Bukele is doing a good job as president? I've lived in El Salvador since I moved down there in 2021. So it's before the régimen de excepción. And it's amazing. The transformation it has been marvelous to witness the transformation and to just see the hope and the joy and the excitement in the Salvadorans' eyes and how willing and ready they are to just start creating their dream and to start moving forward and have like high expectations, not just of their country, but of themselves. And they want to learn, they want to grow, they want to do. It's been beautiful. It's been beautiful, and the government has given them a lot of resources, and now it's Salvadorans' opportunity to take advantage of the resources. That's why, for example, President Gabriela, the first lady of El Salvador, she just announced a national music academy. So for any little kids, this is supposed to help heal families and also help the children of El Salvador, grow and be even more. This National Music Academy is free to any Salvadoran. So you have to have a DUI. It's like a social security number for El Salvador. You have a DUI. You can subscribe, or you go in and you kind of have to pre-enlist right now because it's going to start in 2025. But they have an academy of dance. They have academy of art. They have an academy of music. I think they're going to have classes online, but a parent, an adult, has to sign up for the class. And then you sign the kid that you are going to teach and mentor. So it's not like the kid can just get on the internet, right? It's supposed to be, you're supposed to kind of be the mentor. The adult person is to be the mentor to help the kid go through their lessons and kind of learn along together, because there's a lot of healing when it comes to families that needs to be done in El Salvador. And what better way to heal than the arts and creating together? So that's an option out there. There's a lot of technology classes. The government since they're bringing all these tech companies in, they have a ton of technology classes offered by Google at like free or almost free prices, where you can learn coding, you can learn lots of skills that are marketable on a global scale. Learn SEO, you can learn lots of technology, lots of tech skills that these companies that he's bringing in are going to need. So the youth of El Salvador have that option too. So they're putting forth lots of resources and lots of opportunities. And it's really up to the Salvadoran people now to take them. And it's kind of like the thing of, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's like he can provide this stuff, but Salvadorans have to choose and use those resources in order to evolve the culture. because the country is evolving a lot, but the culture is evolving too. And that's the most important part of this evolution is the cultural evolution of moving away from Salvadoreños fighting with Salvadoreños, but to Salvadoreños like ayudando a su prójimo, helping out Salvadoreños. And he was like, man, that's my countryman. I got to take care of him. I got to help him. Because it hasn't been the vibe of the last 40 years of civil war and gangs. But they're working on it, and they're working on changing that vibe, and it's been beautiful to see. Garcia says, I take you speak Spanish. Sí, claro que sí, yo hablo español. What about the price of food, gas, etc.? So you think it's expensive? I've been in the US for more than 20 years. Mis dos muchachos van a visitar por primera vez en febrero. That's awesome, Saul. That's awesome. Your two kids are going to come down and see for the first time? That's awesome. And February is a great time because the kids go back to school in February. So the tourist places and the beaches aren't as crowded. So that's a great time for your kids to come down. Let's see. Thank you for the personal Sara. I speak truth, Roberto. Let's see. Okay, so when it comes to expensiveness, you could say, compared to when I got there, yes, things are much more expensive, but mainly housing. The food prices have gone up a bit, but when I got there, inflation had really hit the US and other places a lot more. Inflation hadn't really hit El Salvador, but in the past, I'd say really, I'd say year and a half is when the inflation that was happening all around the rest of the world started happening in El Salvador. It kind of started to catch up. And of course, the Salvadorans were like, what? What is this? The price you're going through the roof? And it's like, okay, but honey, but wait, hold on. You got to see that this is not just a you thing. It's one thing when just one country and the inflation, goes through the roof. But it's a whole nother deal when it's no, like everybody else in the world, we're all connected. Everybody else in the world has been feeling this for a while. And so, yeah, the inflation has gone up, but it's still not as bad. The gas price is about the same as up here. But thankfully in El Salvador, you don't have to use a whole lot of gas if you just avoid traffic because everything in El Salvador is really small and it doesn't take a lot of gas to get anywhere. But the food prices went up for a while, but now they've kind of leveled out. They're more than they were, but it's still nothing like up here. Up here meaning US, as you can see by my little quilt on the wall. I am in Georgia, visiting my mom who just walked in and out on the side. So that's the most expensive thing right now is housing. Housing is hard to come by. Housing prices have jumped, but there's a lot of construction. If you're looking to invest in El Salvador, this is a great time to invest in El Salvador. I know lots of people that have properties and they're lottifying their properties and splitting their properties up. Lots of people are building houses. If you're into construction and into real estate, look us up on Living Like a Local, and we can help you go and put together your a real estate investment if you want. I would highly recommend doing an apartment complex. do an apartment complex because there's not enough housing for all the Salvadorans, and that's affordable like most of the world. And with such a small country, you got to build up. And you can't build that far up. It depends on where you can build. If you're going to build that far up because of the earthquakes and because the ground is pretty much all volcano ash. So you got to be careful about where you pick and what you build. So if we can help you out at Living Like Local, just shoot us an email, info@livin, there's no G, livinlikealocal.com. And we'll get on a call with you. We'll put something together. She can come down and see what options you have. Let's see. Any more questions of you 18 people out there that are watching? Any more questions about December? We already covered the cumbia, and so you are going to hear a lot of Hermanos Flores. That's for sure. If you don't know who the Hermanos Flores are and you're going to El Salvador, highly recommend one night on the weekend, go to Pura Candela. Pura Candela is a restaurant in Merliot, next to Plaza Merliot, that is the restaurant that's founded by Los Hermanos Flores. And they're like I call them the Jackson Five, or more like the Osmond family of El Salvador. They created a whole genre of music of the Salvadoran cumbia. And now they have live music at their restaurant. And it's beautiful. It's awesome. Very family friendly. Yeah, you got to do at least one night there, because that is just pura uva, pura candela. It's Salvadoreño. That's it. Let's see. Okay. If there's no more questions, it's been 30 minutes, and that consists of my live. So I'm going to say good night, and thanks, Roberto. Good night. Have a great weekend. If you have not been to El Salvador, or if you're thinking about going to El Salvador, you can look up liveinlikealocal.com, or just look at some of the videos and in my channel. I'll show you all about El Salvador. What we do is we help people relocate, immigrate, medical tourism. You want to come down and get some implants, get some dental work, get some things done, some plastic surgery, or any of that kind of stuff. We can help you with that. And more than anything else is we have relocation tours. So if you'd like to see if El Salvador might be a good fit for your family, come on a relocation tour. We dive deep into what it's like to actually live here, because visiting is not the same as living. So before you make that kind of a jump, you need to be 100% sure. So that's the point of our relocation tours, to show you mountains, beach, city, so you can find out where in El Salvador would be the right place for you. Okay. A liver specialist. Cesar, I would contact Cesar. Go to liveinlikealocal.com. That's living, the same as the channel, wherever the channel symbol is, the channel name, liveinlikealocal.com. And under services, it says medical. Click on medical, fill out the that's kind of the survey, the questionnaire, and then our medical specialist will talk to you all about the specialists that we recommend and we don't, because there's some things that no, El Salvador is not the place to get those done. But we'll be upfront and honest about what we do, have good contacts and good doctors that we trust, and what we don't. So that's it. Good night. Good night. Papucho Bello, I guess. Papucho Bello. Good night, Roberto. We'll see you guys next week. Oh, Roberto's coming back. Come on down, Roberto.